This is actually a metaphor for tonight. So in the back, if I don't use the mic, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Because I don't use this very often, so I'm probably just going to mess it up. Don't touch this. I can't trust you. I work with those folks. I learned not to trust anyone. Yeah, so actually, a brief introduction before. Yeah, I went to, let's see, where should I start? I was born on August 23rd. 27 years old. At Good Samaritan Hospital in San Jose, California. And then when I was 17, I went to Biola. And felt like, Biola was a good place to learn. I learned a lot there. I learned, and I'm still learning, that I don't even know what I don't know. So, I guess, let's see. Is there anything you guys want to know about me before I start? Lindsay made them for me online. And she actually got them for our 1 year dating anniversary. That was like, wow. It was wild. Let's see. Any other questions? Good question, Andrew. And he said his name was Max. It's Andrew. Let's see. I'm one of 5 siblings, and I really like soccer, and I try to go backpacking sometimes, and then Lindsay protects me when we're in the wild, which I'm not kidding, that's actually true. And let's see.
Where do you teach?
I teach at a private school in Roland Heights, which is kind of near La Habra, Oregon. Anything else? I teach 7th primarily and some 8th graders, like English language learners. So I teach them science and history. So I don't know either of those 2 things very well, but I know them better than English language learners that are in middle school. So, yeah.
How long were you in ministry for?
I was here, I started as an intern in the middle school ministry. And I was working with Alan Kim, and then I was an intern in the college ministry, and then I was serving here for like 3.5 years in the college ministry.
What did we used to call you?
So many things. Most of them not appropriate for the public. Well, I don't know. Jerry Wiggle. What did you used to call him? Oh, Guillermo. Yeah, that was one of my names I went by when I was in Costa Rica on a mission trip. Yeah, that was my alias. My south of the border alias is Guillermo. Did you ever see me now? So, so someone want to someone want to turn to Matthew chapter 28 and just read 2 verses for me out of that book. Matthew is in the Christian Bible in the New Testament, the first book. So when you're there, you can just read Matthew 28 and read verse 16 and 17, and then we'll read it. You read it, or whoever reads it first, you can go, and then we'll have someone else read it, and then someone else read it. So we'll read it 3 times, and then we'll jump in. So just 16 and 17. So whenever you're ready, you can read.
Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, and some doubted.
Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountainside to which Jesus had directed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted.
Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted.
And then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. So we're going to focus on this passage tonight, but specifically on some worship and some doubted for a bit. And then I hope that we can get to how Jesus addresses the crowd and what he has for them by the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple things. I'm going to present a general idea of how we relate to God. You guys are going to talk about it for a second. Then we're going to talk about a more specific thing related to Father, how we relate to God as Father, but it's not. And then you guys are going to talk about that. And then we're going to go back to the passage. So it's going to feel like, wait, are we even talking about the scriptures? Yeah, we are, but just bear with me. Be patient. I like this Bible too. So, let's see. So, has anybody, can you get those slides up? Wait, actually, no, not the slides yet. Let me share a quick story with you. So I was teaching these middle schoolers that about the stars and how you can see them, and I asked them, why is it that when you go up in the mountains you can see the stars more clearly? And they said to me, oh, because you're higher up. Right? That's good. For some of you that sounds kind of funny. For some of you, you're like, yeah, of course. So that's fine. That's totally fine. Because I'm going to paint the picture for you, and then we'll kind of be on the same page. So, let's see. Basically, we try to see the stars more clearly up by climbing up the mountains because we think we're closer to them. But I'm just going to tell you, just the mere facts of where the stars are. So first, from here to the top of Earth's atmosphere, it's 62 miles. 62 miles. And for a frame of reference, the tallest mountain in the world is about 5 miles, and then the tallest one in Southern California is about 2 miles. So the nearest mountain, so the atmosphere is 62 miles from here. Okay, and then does anybody have any idea how far the moon is from here? It's a lot further than I thought when I was there. Hopefully this is right, otherwise I'm an idiot. Does anybody know about roughly? I mean, it's a random. DJ might know. DJ?
116,000 miles?
116?
168,000.
Close. It's like 235, depending on the time of the month. So it's true. It's true. Depending on where it is. So 235,000 miles from here to the moon. That's pretty far. Okay, and then from here to the sun, does anybody know about how far?
91 million.
Yeah, 90-something million miles. Okay, so the moon is 235,000. Again, the tallest mountain, 5 miles. From here to the end of our atmosphere, 62 miles. So these are all just relative terms for us. Now, the nearest star is called Alpha Centauri, according to the internet. And then that star is 4.7 light years, which is 25.6 trillion miles away. Okay. So that's the closest one. And then to put that into perspective, what does that actually mean? How far away is that? So if a light year is 1 mile, from here to the sun is 1 inch. Okay? So that means pretty much the distance from here to the moon is like the width of an atom. Okay? Or no, from here to the end of our atmosphere, it's like the width of an atom. Okay? And then from here to the sun is 1 inch. From here to the nearest star is 4.7 miles. Okay? So then again, we now think of this question: how is it that we see the stars clearer when we climb the mountain? How is it that we actually see the stars clearer when we climb the mountain? Does it actually have to do with how close we're getting? We're getting basically like the shaving of a fingernail closer to the stars. Obviously, it's not making a difference, right? But there is something there. It's called light pollution. That's what's keeping us from seeing the stars. The stars are there regardless of whether we see them or not. But going to a place like the mountains or Joshua Tree is just getting you away from light pollution. Okay? So we're not necessarily going to talk as much about like this light pollution kind of concept, but it's important. But I do want us to think about this because we're going to talk about how we relate to God and stuff tonight. And I wonder if like all of us coming here tonight, as Megan was sharing, like you have said yes to something that you feel like God is asking you to do just by being here, right? But like honestly, like even if you show up every day and have a prayer life, and even love and serve sacrificially those around you, like what do we actually? How close are we actually getting? It's like it seems like crazy that we actually think we're getting closer, you know. But I want to talk tonight about the freedom that God actually offers you as you walk towards Him. Because I think there's freedom to continue to walk, but it's like so sad that we spend so much of our time climbing instead of just walking with Him. So, does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Let's see. I'm getting all choked up. Sorry here. So, a question for your table to start is just like maybe sharing these three, like answering one of these three questions, or all of them if you want. So the first kind of table time that we're going to have is answering these three questions. Let's see. Do you think that you are letting? Wait, no, sorry. So do you think you're letting God climb to you? You're climbing to Him. You've given up, or you're climbing the wrong mountain. So there's a slide here. Is it on there? For tabletop.
I have these ones, but I don't know which one.
Wrong one. Okay. Well, I'll repeat the question again. Do you feel like you're letting God climb to you, or come down to you? Are you climbing to Him, or have you given up, or are you climbing the wrong mountain? So you can answer any one of those if you want. You don't have to. You can share as much or as little as you like. But just start with that. Who's climbing? Up, down. Are you doing that? It's okay. And are you climbing the wrong mountain? Yeah, you're good. That you are coming home to your parents' house, that your mom and dad are having dinner for you. Maybe that's not even a reality for you, but just imagine that they're there. Maybe for some of you that's a good thing, maybe for some of you that's a really hard thing. But imagine that they're both there, and they ask you, how are you? Which maybe for some of us, again, it's like, I don't want to talk to you. Or, oh man, this is great, this is what always happens. But imagine though, you're sitting there with your parents and you're like, something's burning inside you and you gotta tell them. And you gotta tell them like, hey, mom and dad, like I don't really feel like you care about me. Like I don't really feel like you have my best interests in mind. In fact, I don't really feel like you even like love me. You say this, but you do this. You say you want this for me, and I don't want that, and you don't listen. And at the end of the day, I don't believe that you have a perfect, your perfect plan for me is not what I want. So, if we were to say those things to our parents, one, God has asked us to honor them, so that would obviously be tough to do. But at the same time, like we can imagine what it would be like for a woman to be our parents. What is it that your parents feel if you say those kind of things? I don't trust you. I don't feel like you really love me. I don't feel like you even know me or care about me or have time for me. What would they actually feel? So, what are some of the feelings that you would have if you were the parent? You can just name them. You know? Like verbally, you can name them.
Shame.
Shame. Yeah. What are some of the feelings? Yeah. Confusion. Yeah. Guilt.
Sad.
Guilt, shame, confusion, sad. Yeah. Anger. Yeah. Defensive. Yeah. Insecure, maybe. Insecure. Yeah. Anything else? Huh?
Invalidated.
Invalidated, yeah. Maybe disappointed like in themselves or disappointed in you for being ungrateful. Right? Whatever. So though I think all of those feelings are valid, maybe that is your circumstance with your parents, but I just wonder if we actually think that the God of the universe doesn't know those things if we feel those things, and therefore we can't talk to him about those things. He died for the perfect version of me. Like he died for the person that I want to be. And so I can't tell him these other things that are like a part of just my daily experience of trying to make it in the world. So God is our Father, but he's not always like our parents. In the fact that God is not human. God is not human. Okay, so Jesus became a man, but he was a God-man. Right? So as much as Jesus is human, he's also God, and so he's not like our human parents that would feel shame and guilt and insecure and maybe even angry or disappointed in you or themselves, invalidated. Like he's not like our human parents because he can see beyond the circumstance. And he doesn't need your affirmation also. The way our parents might just, as humans, need your affirmation. Okay? So keep that in mind because, like, for me, I'm trying to live in this, but then even coming up here, like, you can tell, especially at the beginning, I'm, like, so nervous. Oh, I gotta make it right for them. I gotta get them to, like, hear what God has to say. Because it's gotta be right for me. Like, I have to give it to you the right way. Right? Oh, like, as if you relating to God really has to do with, like, the perfection of my words to you. But why is this, like, important? How does this relate to all these things? Or, like, what we're talking about? Like, we just think that our God needs our perfection. Like, and he needs the perfect version of us in order to accomplish his will. Or not even to accomplish his will, it's not even about that for some of us. It's just to be accepted by him. Like he needs the perfect version of us in order to be accepted. And it's hard, it's really hard to believe that. It's really hard to believe that. And so turn back to Matthew 28 and let's look at it again. It's just, this passage to me has just been like, it's just been coming up constantly in my head for the last few months. Just like how crazy it is to me. Does anybody notice, as we read that, obviously I tried to make it clear, but does anybody notice what is interesting about that passage that stands out in relation to what we're talking about so far tonight? It's not really a trick question, it's okay if you have the wrong answer. Does anybody have any thoughts, something that seems unusual about this? Anybody? The 11 disciples? Missing one of them? Okay, yeah. Anything else that seems unusual? Some doubted. Okay, hold, yeah. Has anybody ever, has anybody ever in their life said, I would know for sure and follow you if I had a sign? Anybody? Right? Okay. So, in your tables, we're gonna put something together real quick. We're just gonna put together we're gonna synthesize something together or create something, a list of things that Jesus did in the miraculous. Okay? So with your group, just 5 things and try to make them unique so that we can throw as many as we can out there. So you can be specific, like what he did or with who it happened, or just in general. Like what are the miraculous things that Jesus did amongst these people who died? Listen up to the ones that are being shared. So if you repeat one, you have to leave. So be careful. So pay attention.
We can start it with the wedding in Cana.
The wedding in Cana.
And turn the water into wine.
Water to wine. Sure. Okay. Yeah, you guys.
The casting the demon into the pigs.
Casting out the demons in his face. Yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah. Walked on water. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
He raised from the dead.
Oh, resurrected. Nice. Good one. Good one. You guys? Stopped a woman bleeding for like, what, 12 years? Just found one. Found one. Nice. Oh, you're fun. Back here. Raise Lazarus. So raise someone else from the dead. Yeah, in the back. Healed the deaf and blind. That was two guys. Two for it was just one. Yeah, but healed a leopard, like a leopard that was sick. Yeah, yeah. Healed a paralyzed man, and according to Jesus, did something even more miraculous. He forgave sin. Yeah. Oh, were you gonna share something? Oh yeah, he healed someone like that wasn't even like his vicinity. That was great. And then again, right here.
He ascended into heaven. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, good. Hold that one because we're gonna look at everything that the disciples saw before they worshiped in God. So that was good, but that you spoiled it. So just kidding. Yeah. He cast out demons. Okay. Back here.
He healed the blind guy.
Healed the blind guy. Yeah, he put blood on his face. That worked. And then anything else? Yeah. That's it. Oh, yeah, 5,000 fish, or 5,000 people. Yeah, not 5,000 fish. Okay. Yeah. Oh, calm the storm. Oh, that was good. Alright, so the reason why we're going over this is again, now let's read from the people who probably were devastated when Jesus was crucified, but now saw him resurrected. And then Jesus, right before this passage, he goes, hey, do you mind meeting me on this mountain? And then they go, okay. And then Jesus appears. At least that's what Matthew says. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee in verse 16. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. What? Those people? That's just like hit me recently. Like, really? These people? We just named some of it. You guys know in John, John says if we were to write it all down, he was being hyperbolic, but he was also like, he was exaggerating. He was saying we wouldn't be able to fill everything that we saw with like the amount of pen and ink that's in the world. So it's not even just what's written, it's like all this other stuff that they couldn't even write down because they were slow writers. So it just hit me like, wait, well, how did these people doubt? But what actually to me is more interesting and maybe more like, I guess maybe more liberating is this. Okay, whose translation in between verse 16 and 17 includes, and Jesus separates those who worships and those who doubted. Does anybody's translation include? Jesus separated those who were having trouble, kind of thinking like half in, half out, not really sure. Does anybody's translation include that? Mine doesn't. But I feel like if Matthew is going to put something that would like kind of make Jesus seem not so credible, he would probably also add like an extra detail, like. But then he like kind of just separated the two groups and then gave us. Right, so like again, God is like our Father, but He's not our parents. So Jesus, like, Jesus has spent his whole life like trying to show people who God is through the miraculous, but even more impressively, through serving people that were unlovable, like what Andrew said. Like the even more miraculous thing that Jesus does is he has all the power at his disposal, and yet he comes underneath people to serve them. Okay, so it's this God who spends his whole life doing miraculous things and then like serving people and trying to show them and saying like, hey, there's room for you, come, follow me, I've chosen you, let's go. And then he knows that they'd be devastated at his crucifixion, so he has grace even for Peter, who denies him. Right? So he knows that's going to happen. But surely when he resurrects, like surely at the resurrection, they're going to be like, okay, we thought it was off, and now it's back on, let's do this. And everybody, you would think, at least the people that walked up the mountain, at least these people, right? Because they had seen a lot. This is probably not just the 12 too. They were definitely there, but there's actually probably more people there. So it's probably the people who've seen like a ton, heard a ton, things that we didn't even mention, things that weren't even written down. So I wonder why is it, like, Jesus, why is it that you don't separate these two people? The people that worship and the people that doubt. Before you give this big, great, this is how I'm going to win, but this is how I'm going to redeem the whole world. This is my plan. Like, why not separate them? Because God is like our parents, but he's not our parents. God isn't insecure about your doubts. We just did a fast at our church, and it's good to do, but it's also not very fun. And when I was trying to not eat and working with middle schoolers, that was hard. I've actually said some things under my breath, not to them, that I haven't said to another human in a long time while I was fasting. So I don't say that to say like, oh, say whatever you want, but like I can believe that God actually died for the person that I suppress with food, that I hardly ever see. And he died for the person that's really nice and all the middle schoolers love and all of you guys are entertained by at this moment. He died for the person that I can often hide, you know, because he actually sees that person. Because God is like our parents, but he's not our parents. And so if that's true, then I feel like that's why Matthew doesn't include that Jesus separated them, because I don't think he did. I don't think he separated them. Because I don't think he was really afraid of our doubts. It's not that he's not concerned with them, because he's concerned with his children and where they are, the way that Megan was sharing. Like, our dad is concerned with where we are, but he's not afraid about where we are. So he's not going to dismiss whatever you bring to him, but he's also not going to say, well, see, when you figure that out, you'll be right. You can be a part of my family. When you figure that out, you can go and love your classmate. When you figure that out, you can go and ask for forgiveness for the person that you hurt. Whatever it is. But I feel like we misunderstand this, and the reason why we misunderstand this is because we forget that God is actually extremely unfair. That God's grace is very unfair. So we talk about God. Maybe you've heard this. God is a very just God. He's going to treat everybody like according to what they deserve, and he's about justice and all that. But we forget that God created us and has no need for us. We couldn't seem to get it right, and he still went out of his way to make it right for us when we couldn't get it right. Not when we showed him that we were going to be better. So God is extremely unfair, and we forget that, and we read these words and we pass right over the fact that he gives this commission to those who worship and those who doubt him, because we spend a lot of our life trying to make things fair. And I think that's okay. I think there's grace for the fact that you're trying to bargain with God. There's grace in this in the way that you spend a lot of your time saying, I shouldn't have done that, but God, I know you forgive me and I'm going to do better next time. Because he says, yeah, I know you don't want to do that. And I know your heart. It's so it's he's calling us to go and make disciples. He doesn't expect you to have like all of the answers. He doesn't expect you to not question him. He doesn't expect you to not question yourself. Maybe for you, you don't question God. You're like me, where you just question yourself more than you question him. And he's still asking you to go. It's not that he wants you to stay where you are. He wants you to believe in this thing called grace. Because we don't believe it most of the time. I don't believe it most of the time. I don't believe that you actually see all of it. I just think if I see the miracle, I'll stop doubting and then you'll love me. If I see the miracle, I'll go and do the thing you want me to do. And then you'll be able to use me if I just see the miracle. Okay, how did that work for the disciples? That didn't seem to be the issue for them. It wasn't the issue for them. So what was their issue? Their issue is our issue. They're human beings. They're not God. They can't see ahead. They're trying to do it on their own. They don't understand the concept of grace. They don't believe that they can actually bring the gospel to the ends of the earth. That's their issue. What does Jesus do about that? He doesn't seem to care about their doubts in the fact that he still gives them this command. So let me read the command one more time, and then we'll wrap up. All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. Why would you give such a big, important command to people who you know are doubting you right in that very moment? Clearly, you're not concerned as much with our perfection as we are. He is concerned with you becoming more like him, but he's far more patient with you than you are with yourself. He doesn't want you to sit and stay stuck where you are, but he's far more patient with you than you are for yourself. I hope what you're not hearing is that where I am right now is okay in the sense that nothing needs to change. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is where you are right now is okay in the sense that God knows all of it already. He knows the things that you don't even know about yourself. He knows the things that come out of you when someone puts you off. He knows the things that come out of you when you're not eating. He knows the things that come out of you when you're struggling to finish a paper and your roommate is being annoying. He knows those things about you before they come out, before you even know them about yourself. So if that's true, then you have to understand that whatever you walk towards now, from this point, needs to be in freedom. Because this is where I just want us to land here. Is you cannot love somebody. You cannot love someone with grace you haven't received. That's a concept maybe you've heard before. You cannot offer what you haven't received. But really though, have we received it? Because there are people that treat us out of their pain every day. There are people that will disrespect you and dishonor you and disregard all of your effort that you make towards caring for them? But can you actually love that person in the same way that you disrespect, disregard, and misunderstand God's love for you every day? Do I actually really think that the God who is further than even the nearest star, do I actually think that I'm getting closer to him by my effort in the morning with my devotional? By not swearing at the person that cuts me off? Do I actually think I'm getting closer to him? I don't think so. So again, what I'm not saying is stay where you are. What I am saying is learn to accept that you are accepted. And Jesus is not afraid of your questions. And he's not afraid of your imperfection. He's not afraid of your insecurity. And he's not afraid of your inadequacy. So learn to accept where you are and walk in freedom so that you can actually truly love the people around you. Not so that you can go and have fire insurance and live your life the way you want. But so that you can actually live and serve sacrificially, believing that there's a God that's going to accomplish something through his imperfect children. God uses imperfect sticks or crooked sticks to draw straight lines. Okay? That's you. That's not the person who hurt you. That's you. Okay? So this is the let me just finish with this question for us to think about. Can you believe it is possible that God is a truly loving Father? Can you believe that it's possible? And then, what might be an act of sacrificial faith in his calling? He's not asking you for perfection. He's saying whatever faith you have, if it's the size of an atom, then go. If it's the size of a car, then go. And as you walk, whose strength is required in order to fulfill this call that he's given you? If it's to lay down a bad habit, or if it's to forgive, or if it's to invite someone into your house, or if it's to share a meal with somebody, whose strength is required to fulfill this call? And what's actually required of you? So we'll just close with a time just to reflect on those questions. DJ, you want to throw those on? It should be there. The last question here we'll talk. Whose strength is required to fulfill this call?
Is that it?
Yeah. Oh wait, one before that.
You want this one?
No. Scratch that. Yeah, that's good. No. One more. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
All right, just sit with that for a minute, and then we're going to go into the first one.
As being in awe, but being led by someone who just cared about it. You know what I love about this room is it's just a group of people that care about each other. And I think the more we get to know who God is, the more we begin to care more about other people and not just ourselves. We're going to finish our series next week. So this has been a mixtape series, lots of different messages on lots of different topics. It's going to be fun. I'm excited because that's something I very deeply care about. I can care about that tonight. We've spent the past few months praying for our missionaries at the end of our services, and tonight is that one moment where we get to send off one of our missionaries from our young adults group. So we're first going to hear from her and then pray for her along with another member of us that is going to go serve missionally on this mountaintop in the National Forest as well. But Rachel, come share.
Thanks. So sharing today, Megan wanted me to talk about why journey and how you guys can pray start by saying how in awe I am that Jeremy is speaking today about missions, and it's my last Tuesday. Like, God just works things in awesome ways. So why Germany? I think I've talked about it a few times being up here, but God's just been really faithful in little ways, opening doors, and just making things clear. And one of those ways that He's made something clear really recently is I got fully funded to go to Germany, which was amazing. I was in crunch time. I needed $4,000 in 2 weeks, and God did it in 6 days. So that was an open door for sure. So yeah, God's just been really faithful, and He's used people in my life to be faithful, and you guys are some of those people, just supporting me, whether it was financially or through giving clothes or buying bracelets or prayer. All of that has been crazy overwhelming, and I thank you for that. But God is always faithful, and I think to move forward, we have to be faithful in that. So He can open all the doors He wants, but nothing happens until we step through them. And so for me, that's been a challenge sometimes. It's been really easy other times. But I've chosen to be faithful in that, and that's how Germany happened and why Germany. And I'm really excited to partner with Josiah Venture. That's the name of the organization I'll be working with. They're called Josiah Venture because they're named after the young King Josiah in the Old Testament. He was only 8 years old when he became king. When he was a teenager, he brought this revival to Israel, this spiritual revival. He got people excited about God again. And that's what JV is trying to do in Central and Eastern Europe. This is a place that has a rich church history, and they loved God deeply. They've lost that. And they really believe that the young people are going to be the young Josiahs that bring revival to the land. So I'm really excited to be with those people and the young students and get them excited about Jesus again. So then, how you guys can be praying, I thought of 3 things. First and foremost, students. Pray for the students in Germany who already know Jesus that we'll be working with, just that they're going to be bold and invite their friends to camp and to church. It's really easy to grow up in the church and just have that be separate from the rest of your life, and we don't want that. We want them to bring Jesus to their schools, to their friends. Also for students who haven't met Jesus yet, that they would, whether it be at camp or after camp, and even more special through their friendships with friends that they know that already love Jesus. Number 2 is for my team. I'm leading a team of interns this summer, so I'm gone for 6 months, but the first half of it is leading them. Just that they would be stretched this summer and that they would grow closer to God. Then number 3 is for me. One, that I would also be stretched and grow. And also that as I step into this new leadership position, that I can lead well. I'd like to be able to do that. And then the third thing is, for me, is that, so the first half is summer with the interns, and we do camps, and it's crazy. Then the second half is fall and into the winter, and that's when I'm going to be working day in, day out, doing what the missionaries that are already there are doing, and that's to kind of find what my future job position with them would be. So just as I'm doing that I'm listening to God and trusting whether or not He wants me there or not, and He just makes that really clear. So, yeah, thanks guys.
You all probably don't know about Rachel is, well, you probably know that she interned this year in the missions department at Arbor Road Church, but the cool part about it is today in our staff meeting, the guy she interned under boasted about what she did this year as an intern, specifically creating a curriculum that will go on far past her as an intern, basically a curriculum for anyone going on international missions trips. So our high school students went through a 5-hour-long training and were engaged for 5 hours with a curriculum that she came up with to equip people, and every missionary we will send from short-term missions from Arbor Road will go through Rachel's curriculum that she spent the entire year putting together. So. Starting here, you know what I mean? And that's the call for all of us, right? It's exciting though that you're willing to go and do that over there, but that you started really faithfully here. And I remember our first conversation about that very thing. So I'm gonna bring up Jackson as well. Jackson, this is his last Tuesday. JoJo, you're next week, so don't make me cry too. But Jackson is gonna go be serving at this little camp that I love, called Hume Lake this summer. And not just at that place, he's actually going to this like hidden little gem of a discipleship camp for student leaders called Wildwood this summer. And he is basically, his job is to equip people to do the ministry, which is very incredible. That's what you do. You equip people to do the ministry. So you've done that here, you've already done that here, and we get to send you off. So with that, we're going to pray for them along with our other missionaries we've sent. I'm so proud that we're a group of people that have said yes to those types of calls. So people to remember are going to be Guapo. I saw a video from him a couple weeks back. We have Will, who is serving in Mexico. And we have Hammy, who came to visit, remember, and spoke about the story of Abigail. So those are our people that we're going to continue. And so you guys know, along with JoJo and anyone else we hear about who has a last Tuesday before he sends you off. It's a short-term mission, long-term mission, whatever. We will continue to pray for you guys. So just know you have a family here that number one is sending you. You are being sent into those places. And as people that are sent, we also remember. Don't forget. We're going to remember you. We're going to pray for you as we think of you. And secondly, we are ready for you to come back already. So when you do, let us get excited for you. In the same way that having Jeremy, can you explain one more time? A few of you, maybe people who have been deeply impacted by them, just going to come forward, we're going to lay a few hands on, and then we'll do last minute announcements. And then, okay, so everybody. And if you're in the audience, I'm here, just extended hand in your direction, which basically is just saying, yes, I concur, yes, I agree, and I want to join with what's being prayed for. So let's have 3 people shout us first.
English Practice, thank you. Es Rachel. Thank you, this community has been nice.
Father, I pray for more baseball type of phase with Jackson, that he would find things that were burdens and identity markers, and they would become joy in him. I pray for that this summer, that people would be joy, not joy. I pray for Rachel. I thank you for her heartbeat, and as we bring to meet her, that she would not walls broken down, so we can see straight into her heart. So that I pray that any shadows on us right now, that she would have no fear. This is all for your glory, Lord. That's why we come to you. It's all for of your power, which is why we rely on you. And thank you for being fatherly enough to welcome our doubts. Pray for us to respond powerfully and honestly this evening and this week. We love you and glorify you. And all God's children said,
Amen.
As I've been praying for you all, is we would actually learn, and I'll kick this off next week, we would learn how not to live in fear. We would just actually become more secure people. That would be the goal of summer. So we're going to journey on that together, arm in arm, which means we're going to be honest at times with different things. We can dive deep and pull out roots of insecurity, whether that's in the Bible. That's going to be our first month topic. Is the Bible really reliable? How do we read it? How do you enjoy it? Who talks about enjoying the Bible? We're going to talk about all those things because they matter. But I'm going to send you off by having you all, like always, be blessed so that you can be a blessing. Now, typically what that looks like is someone standing at the front and saying, young adults, may you know, and then that person either prepares or prays and then says a truth statement. See, a prayer is directed at God. A blessing can be actually toward people. And we can receive those words, because have you noticed, I feel like when Jeremy brought up family, yes, my dad tries his best, but he's not the perfect picture of our Heavenly Father. And I think everyone in this room knows the power of words, specifically from your parents. It's insanely powerful. So what we want to be in this community is people that speak powerful words into each other that are true. And so what we're going to do tonight to send ourselves out is bless each other in our tables. Let me remind you how that looks. A blessing is simply looking at someone and knowing their name. If you already forgot their name, let's just have one of those grace moments where it's okay if you forgot their name or how to pronounce it. If you have a hard name, we know you're used to that, so just give us a little bit more. But let's take a moment. We're going to look and make sure each person, and so someone at your table, just be really mindful of the whole table. Each person just gets to receive some sort of blessing. And I'll say, giving a blessing is hard. You look them in the eyes, you say their name, and then a may you know or may you believe. And it might be something as simple as, may you believe that you are loved. That's enough. Maybe it's something as simple as that, or maybe you have a specific thing you want to tell someone. We're going to do this, and if you've never done this before, it's pretty normal in this room. If you've never done it, just wait till someone does it to you, and you don't have to give it to someone else, don't worry. But again, it's the name, and then may you know, or may you believe, or may you learn to, or may you just sit in the fact that. Doesn't matter what you say, but just finish that sentence. If you're up for it, you can pray for that person. But ultimately, what I love about this group is we're learning it's not just about coming to church and being entertained or being served. It's about serving each other. So let me start by saying, young adults at our Borough Church, may you know that you have nothing to fear. I really want you to know that. And I want you to know it so much so that you can breathe in peace and then exhale love with your words. Although people may reject, I love your phrase, Jeremy. May you learn to accept that you're already accepted. So may you go, if that's Heavenly Father, whether we're intimidated right now by this idea of blessing, I don't know, or maybe we're just excited about it. I pray you would use the power of our words. Or we take it seriously, just for a minute, to just bless the people around us with truth statements. So even right now, prepare our hearts. Speak truth to us. So we might, as the passage said, go and overflow your love to each other. We love you. And all God's children said,
Amen.
Amen.